To understand what I'm about to tell you, you need to do something first. You need to believe in the impossible. Can you do that?
What do you desire that you can't have?
Now you should at least give a brother a moment to say something heroically clever.
You're the boy from the circus.
So I have to sing with rolls?
There's about a dozen ways that I could stop you right now. But I don't think I have to.
The staff chose me, and I choose you.
I started up a security firm.
Finally, a superhero team I can actually get behind.
In the future, my friends may not be heroes, but if we succeed, they will be remembered as legends.
Welcome to the DC TV report for the week ending Saturday, August 22nd, 2020. I'm Little Eddie O'Hare, aspiring professional fanboy.
And I'm Sara, academic by day, writer by night.
We're here to bring you recaps, news, and commentary for all live-action television shows based on DC Comics.
And today we have 8 new episodes for you, all from the same show.
Yes, we have an entire half season of Lucifer to discuss. And the fun part is, as of this recording, only one of us has seen all of those episodes.
Yeah, I kind of like how we do this. I have seen all 8 because I also recapped it for Entertainment Weekly. That is live now. So if you want to read longer, more in-depth takes on each episode, you can read thousands of words from me. But I'm really looking forward to talking about this with Ed, and I'm really looking forward to, I will never give spoilers or indicate, but it is kind of fun, I think, to hear, Ed, your real-time reactions, and then my sort of sky view, like drone view of drone view. I hate that. I'll never say that again. Of the whole season. So, yeah, Lucifer's back.
Yes, Lucifer's back for everyone to enjoy. And this is also a big weekend because Warner Media, in their infinite wisdom, decided to release Lucifer on the exact same weekend that they're holding their DC Fandom event. So while we will be recording this over the course of Friday and Saturday, I'm sure lots of fans will be learning all the new stuff happening in everything in the world of DC, not just TV, but movies and comic books. And we will be reporting on those. Probably we might do a separate special. We might just wait and tell you next month. I don't know. We will see.
No, Ed, I thought you were going to say that this is also a big weekend because I've got goats.
Yes, my sister told me about this. So you have not just a pet goat. You have like 15 goats in your backyard right now?
So I have a very hilly backyard that is you can't mow, you can't get any equipment back there. It's just like for one person to clear all the brush and overgrowth. It's such a big job. So we hired a herd of goats, and there's a local company that comes in and they put up an electrified fence, just a solar powered little electrification thing, and they bring a trailer of goats to your property. They herd them in and they just let the goats go to town. We've had the goats for 2 days and they have already stripped this whole section that they're in right now, and then we'll just keep moving them across my yard. I got 34 goats in my backyard that I get to like hang out with, talk to, look at, think about petting, and then don't pet because I'm a little scared of goats, but they're very like cool to watch from a distance. It's amazing. My backyard smells like a barn. But they're doing the job. Jurassic Park no more in the back.
Wow.
See my Twitter timeline for lots of goat pictures. So yeah, that's it's Lucifer and Goat weekend around here. It's maybe the best weekend of 2020. It's like one of the 3 nice things that's happened to me this year. So goats and also Lucifer, if we want to pivot to that.
Yes, it is Goat weekend, everybody. We already have the title for this episode.
If y'all want to take bets now for which Lucifer episode actually mentions goats, we can start a betting pool.
Ooh,
but,
well, I mean, I feel like goats are always involved in hell lore somehow. I feel like that's don't like Satanists to have like goat masks or something like that, or they sacrifice goats.
Kind of feel like we have to say hashtag not all Satanists because I think every practice is different individual. I don't really know, and I don't want to make anybody mad, but
Hmm.
I do know that there is that movie The Witch, which I've never seen, that has Black Phillip the goat devil. So now is not the weekend to
Yes.
watch that for me.
Yes. And I'm going to double down on the offensiveness and say, no, I'm talking about the cool Satanists that you see on TV all the time.
You heard it here. Ed's talking about the cool Satanists. That also would be an excellent title for this.
Wow. So we got goats, we got Lucifer. Also, so yeah. Housekeeping quick. I want to thank everyone for listening. If you have friends who watch any of the shows that we
Sorry.
cover on the show,
If you have friends,
yeah. Hey, Sarah, you can't judge. You never know who's out there. You never know who's listening.
very true. Continue.
Yeah. It could be some of those uptight Satanists who don't like talking about the goats. Uh, and whoever you are, we appreciate you listening. If you have any friends who, may have ever come into contact with any of the shows that we cover in the show, please encourage them to listen. Subscribe, rate, and review us on whatever podcast app you're listening to us on. That helps people find us. If you want to be extra helpful, we are part of Wicked Theory Studios, which has a Patreon, patreon.com/Wicked Theory. There's a that just helps us with our overhead, bandwidth, and such. There's a bonus podcast there for you to listen to called Ed Bonds with Bill, where I subject our executive producer Bill Sweeney to movies from the James Bond franchise. Most recently, we covered the 1967 spoof version of Casino Royale, starring Peter Sellers and David Niven. And there's also a special State of the Podcast episode of the Wicked Theory podcast that just posted, where Bill and I basically we weren't day drunk because we weren't drinking. But I guess you could say we got punch drunk and just started trying to figure out whether or not we were going to bring back the Wicked Theory podcast. I won't spoil that. I'll let you go subscribe and listen to find out the answer to that question.
Now, if you had been actually day drunk, would that have changed the outcome, do you think?
Well, I probably wouldn't have driven home afterwards.
Well, fair.
Yeah, and it probably would have been like 3 times as long, and one of us would have cried. So yeah. So now we're getting to Lucifer. Sarah, it's been 14 months since we last saw Lucifer Morningstar. I just checked. Season 4 dropped in May of 2019. And earlier this week, I watched the finale just to refresh my memory and catch up. And Sarah, do you remember what was happening with Lucifer at the end of last season?
I do. Do we need to catch the good people up, do you think?
Well, I think we can just remind people that, in case it's been a while. Lucifer decided that, in order to keep the demons in hell from running all amok around the earth, he had to leave Los Angeles and take his place back on the throne of hell. Right after Chloe confessed her love for him.
It was very dramatic and moving.
Yes.
He sacrificed that personal happiness to be a good ruler of hell.
Yes.
They needed a firm hand.
Exactly. And Amenadiel and Dr. Linda had their baby and decided to keep it on Earth. And Amenadiel decided, no, I'm not going to take that baby, that half-angel baby, up to heaven. I'm going to stay on Earth and protect it. And yeah, I think Ella found her faith back in God. And Dan finally got over Charlotte's death and, was looking to improve himself. So yeah, lots of real introspective, emotional stuff going on. Plus that whole kicker of Lucifer's back in hell, and what's Chloe gonna do now?
And don't forget, Maze also fell in love or fell in feelings
Oh,
with
yes.
Eve, who headed
Yeah.
out of town.
Yes. Fell in
So
love. Yeah. And then immediately Eve was like, all right, fine. See you later. Um, so yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going. And yeah, I was chomping at the bit once I saw that episode, once I rewatched that episode to get back into the season. And I just watched the premiere right before we started recording. And yeah, so the way we're gonna watch it is from now on, once you hear me start up the theme song for Lucifer, as I begin my recap, that means in between I've turned off the mics and watched the episode, and we're just gonna jump right in. So yeah, so at this point, I've only seen the premiere. Sarah, you've seen all of it, but you promise you're gonna be nice with spoilers. And
absolutely, I would never. And picture me while Ed is watching a new episode, like frantically working on a syllabus because school starts next week. So we all are doing our thing this weekend.
all right. So ready, Sarah, you ready to start the recaps?
Yes, please.
All right, here goes it. We're diving in with Lucifer, season 5 premiere. Really sad devil guy. Even though Lucifer was still in hell, he and the detective both worked separately to solve the shooting murder of a dehanding of poor old Lee. Lucy, Chloe, and Maze were all in denial about their separation anxieties. Amenadiel asked Dan, who was on a self-help kick, to help him set up a drug sting at Lux. Dr. Linda asked Ella to spend her days off giving 2-month-old baby Charlie STEM lessons and made Ella think about her romantic woes. Last minute reveal, Chloe embraced an imposter posing as Lucifer.
All right, you know what I say? A pox on the Netflix trailer maker for spoiling dual Lucifers.
Yes. Yeah. We've been saying for weeks, don't watch the trailer for season 5. Because I had a feeling, and I predicted it's ruined at least the first half of this season. Sarah, you know that for sure. But yeah. So there was a great reveal, where you thought, oh, Lucy had this epiphany after Lee said it to him. Is like, whose hell is this anyway? And we thought, oh yeah, he decided to show up and save Chloe and get back together. And nope.
He did not.
Nope.
No, he did not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I love a wordless kiss the first time you see somebody after a separation. Which shouldn't surprise anybody who listens to this podcast. You know me by now. So that Chloe just flinging herself at him when she sees Lucifer was amazing. And then when you find out that it wasn't him, that was a hard scene for me. But great. I mean, like that's it's going to lead to angst, right? So I'm all about that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, even though the trailer maker could have pumped the brakes a little bit, it's still enjoyable. So, can I say first? I'm so sad that Lee, Mr. Set Out Bitch, is dead. That's such a bummer. He was our premier episode companion for the last 3 seasons, and R.I.P.
Yeah, and I think the fact that he's dead at the beginning of this premiere kind of really hints that this was originally supposed to be the final season.
Exactly what I thought. They wanted to go full circle with that and make that the final season, the final appearance of Lee. So my question is, when they have season 6, when that finally rolls around, are they going to find a way to bring him back somehow from his hell loop just to have Lee one more time? I'm very, very curious about that, and I guess we'll find out in like 2022.
Yes.
But, he lived a good life for a while. Yacht, leopard print bikinis, best life.
Well, I would say of the 3 times that we've seen him, at least in the opening of this episode, it had to be the apex. So yeah. One interesting thing that I thought was different was the way they explained how time passes in hell. Because you would think for immortals, they would experience time very quickly. Like, a century could go by on Earth and it would feel like an afternoon to them. But evidently, Lucifer is saying that it's the exact opposite. That even though he's been off Earth a couple of months, for him, it's felt like a millennium.
Yeah, thousands of years.
Mm-hmm. So I thought that was an interesting bit. I also do I do find it interesting that they still have the pauses for commercial breaks, even though this
Yeah.
is on Netflix.
Yes, they do. I don't know what they're preparing for, but yes, they do.
I think it's the kind of thing where just like as a writing staff, this is how we originally kept the show, and we wanted to keep it the same format. So that's just how they build to their act breaks. Um, and who knows? Warner's may pull it from Netflix one day and decide to sell it on cable. Who knows? Um, but so yeah. So I thought the caper was really cool. I also do love, even though this is a streamer, we still have the procedural aspect. There's still a murder to solve.
Yep,
Um,
can't forget the murder victim.
yeah, and seeing Chloe and Maze work together, I thought they had a very interesting shorthand, and it felt, I don't know. I haven't seen much Cagney and Lacey, but I feel like there's they Chloe and Maze have a totally different shorthand than Chloe and Lucifer had.
Yes, very much so. I thought you were going to say a totally different shorthand than Cagney and Lacey, and they do. You're correct. But yes, they're definitely a different crime fighting pair. Also effective, but clearly they do a lot of work together, but it's just not the same fluid partnership. I don't think that the other two had, but I did really love them fighting over who was going to lose at the poker tables. Who gets to be the arm candy, who gets to be the gambler. So just things like that. It was fun to see them still kind of negotiating how that worked with them, but I just love Maze so much. The aggression, the hostility, the fashion, always the fashion.
Yes, and yeah, and our secondary characters, or we're all running around. I feel like all four characters, even though they all intersected over the course of the episode, but Amenadiel, Dr. Linda, Detective Douche, aka Dan, and Ella are all in very weird places right now.
That's fair to say. I mean,
Some
who
of them,
doesn't give their baby Japanese lessons and then yoga?
he's 2 months old.
So he's real bendy. I mean, win better for yoga.
Yeah. I feel like both Amenadiel and Dr. Linda, I think Amenadiel needs a hobby. And Dr. Linda needs a job.
Dr. Linda has a job. How dare you?
I know. Well, I mean, I feel like being cooped up in the house with baby Charlie has
Yeah.
changed some things.
No, you are correct.
And she might be going a little stir crazy,
I love that her house is still bubble wrapped because she was doing that obsessively last season, and she still has the railings, the ceiling fans, and things like that because that baby could fly at any time.
And yeah, and we saw Charlie's first laugh.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool that Trixie got him to do that. Um and yeah, Dan is on that self-help kick. Do you think he actually read all those books?
I don't. I hate to say anything unkind about Detective Douche, but I do. Well, you know what? I do. I think Dan from 6 months ago would never have, but this Dan, the post Charlotte Dan, yeah, you know what? I think he did. I don't know that he understood all of them, but I feel like he looked at every page.
Okay. And Ella. Oh, poor Ella. Ella, what are you doing? The guy's
right.
nickname is Dirty Doug.
Well, I mean, that's not necessarily. You know what? Moving forward. Here's my thing. Ella's sudden insistence that she's attracted to the bad guys, did that ring a little false to you? Like,
Well,
she's made illusions, but she was so insistent of it this time, and then we actually saw her hook up with somebody, and I was like, ooh, that's a little out of character, maybe?
well, I think one, we haven't really seen a lot of her, and I feel like if you remember the standalone episodes that were like, kind of like insert randomly in the season that they were doing when the show was still on Fox, um what you learned of Ella's backstory is that, she does kind of she has a past, at least. And yeah, I wonder what happened to that cool detective from Vegas. Why couldn't things work
What
out with that
did
guy?
happen to that guy?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I
He's
kind of
dead,
look at it
Sarah.
and did he die? I
He's
remember.
dead. I'm sorry. No, he's not. But we don't know. We don't know.
Well, here, my thought, and this is not a spoiler, this is referring to a news article that we reported on a couple weeks ago. So if anybody doesn't want to hear a news article, I will give you enough time to get to your phones to pause or jump ahead. I'll keep this short. But the news article talked about the show casting a love interest for Ella, who's a dorky Star Trek, kind of perfect fit for her. So my take on that was that the show is leaning into the contrast that, ooh, she loves the bad boys, and then they're going to introduce the nerd of her heart, So that's kind of how I looked at it. I could be wrong, but I felt like the show was really leaning into Ella and her bad boys a little more than I expected for that reason. And it just felt a little aggressive to me, but maybe that's just me. That's the bad thing about watching these, to recap them before everybody sees them, is I can't really do a gut check with anybody else. I'm just have to kind of like be, well, yeah. So anyway.
So you're saying that, after she and Dirty Doug look at each other weirdly in the mirror, she opens his closet door and finds a bunch of Mr. Spock Migos. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's 100%. That is what happened. I'm sure of it.
Okay.
She rubbed his ear like a Ferengi, and then they just, yeah.
And and I think the real big moment in this episode is Lucifer's storyline, where he's showing Lee all around hell. He helps solve his murder, and passes on the clues he finds to Chloe as the assailants get killed. And and we find kind of this own revelation that he's still dealing with the fact that he had to leave Chloe, and he wishes he didn't have to do that.
Yeah, I mean, thousands of years later, that he's still pining is really lovely.
Yeah, and also kind of, I love that idea that Lee put forth. Whose hell is this?
Mm-hmm.
Is Lucifer torturing himself as much as he's torturing the sinners?
Yeah.
All right.
I also do love it when a show references the theme in show. So to have the Lucifer fake stroll in whistling the theme song made me happy in a very cheesy way. I also really do think that Chloe might not have made it out of that situation if he hadn't intervened. That looked pretty dire. Like, she can handle herself, but that was a lot of dudes with guns.
Yeah, no, I concur.
Also, you've seen the movie Meet Joe Black, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Don't. It's terrible. But
Yes.
Brad Pitt's character gets hit by a car in such a comically over-the-top way, and that's not a spoiler. That's the point of Meet Joe Black, and also that movie is like 25 years old. But that suspect, when he runs into the road and gets creamed by traffic, is the funniest, I'm so sorry, death in a vehicular accident like that I have seen since Meet Joe Black. That brought me some joy, thinking about that 30-second snippet of Meet Joe Black, which is the only good part of Meet Joe Black. I'm done saying Meet Joe Black now. It's not good. Don't watch it. Okay.
All right.
Although it is about death, learning about humanity. So actually, it kind of is on topic. But you know what? Okay, we're gonna keep going.
Okay. All right. I think that covers it for the premiere. Are you ready to move on to the next one?
I am triple checking. Yes, we covered everything. Let's do it.
All right. Let's go. Lucifer, Season 5, Episode 2. Lucifer, Lucifer, Lucifer! Lucifer's twin brother, Michael, admitted to Mazikeen that he came down to Earth to steal Lucy's life and coax him out. Michael helped Chloe investigate the murder of an aspiring astronaut stabbed to death during a simulated mission to Mars. Last minute reveal, Amenadiel went down to hell and told Lucifer he needed to come back to Earth right away.
Okay, well, thank God that we don't have a 24 episode season anymore, because Chloe would never have found out about the fake identity thing for at least a month if we'd had that many episodes to play with on Fox.
Oh, do you remember how long we had to find out Tom Welling was Kane?
Like 5 years. That reveal took forever.
All right. We should just come clean with the listeners right now. This is the second time that we're recording this because there was a problem with the
on my end.
First...
It was on my end.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's Zencaster. But that's fine.
We can blame Illinois Wireless. It's fine.
But there is a lot of stuff to talk about with this episode. Particularly Tom Ellis. And the different performance choices, the acting choices he made in portraying Michael, I thought physically were very interesting.
Mm-hmm. I both love it and hate it. Like, I love that he's doing it, but I hate what he's doing, but I hate it in a way that I think is right for the character, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you notice he kind of has slumped shoulders. He walks a little bit more stiffly, and he has this, almost kind of nerdy, nebbishy American accent as opposed to Lucifer's lovely English. And it's a very simple way to distinguish the characters from each other. I almost don't know if that voice was a little too much. I just don't believe that coming out of Tom Ellis's face.
I hate it. I hate the American accent. I hate it. It changes his cadence, his tone, everything. He doesn't sound like himself. It's amazing to me the way just flattening your vowels can change your delivery and your whole character so much. I always struggle when I have an actor I know with one accent who then I see elsewhere with another. That always kind of blows my mind. James Marsden from Buffy, when he's British and he's actually American, and I see him elsewhere, it's always a hard flip-flop for my brain to do. And then to see Tom Ellis in the same episode, going back and forth, it is confusing. So I hate it. But it's well done. Like, it's technically really well done. This is not a criticism of Tom Ellis. It's an acting choice. And it makes me kind of hate Michael. And I think that's, part of it.
Yeah. And he's a vindictive twin brother coming out for this season. And yeah. I'm almost not sure if I bought Mazikeen going along with it at first. I don't know how I feel about that.
I struggled with that the first time I watched this episode too. This is one that I was able to watch twice for recap purposes. And the second time through, I watched it knowing the choice she was going to make. She's so mad at Lucifer, and this is the only way she knows to lure him back so she can basically wail on him, I think. But still, for her to go along, and I'm glad that when she realized how badly Chloe was hurt, that she kind of course corrected, but she still agreed to do it and hurt Chloe. I don't know. It didn't quite ring true to me either. I agree. And I also think Chloe should have been madder at Maze once she realized what the deception was. I don't know. It's the Maze puzzle here didn't quite fit. I agree.
Yes. And what's funny is now that I know Chloe knew, it puts that whole incident at the coffee machine and at the vending machine in a completely different light.
Yeah, that was about the point where I thought, if she is not playing them, this is not the character I know anymore. And thank God she was.
Because I'll be honest with you, that was all of the fifth act of this. It was just that one scene of her calling him out and really teasing him. It's also just weird because Michael's not sure how to take it. Like, is she always with him? Is she always like this with him, or like what's the deal here? And it's nice to see that Chloe Decker actually is a good actress, and we know she has acting experience. And
Air quotes acting experience. I feel like it was,
yeah. Also, in terms of secondary characters, we had a huge reveal for Linda at the end, where we see a Polaroid from 1994 and realize that Charlie is not her first child.
yeah, very heartbreaking, but also that's a Polaroid with staying power. I didn't think Polaroids like survived that long. But yes, very sad. I'm so sorry. Don't mean to make light of it. Obviously, that's a point of extreme pain for her. And honestly, how dare Michael tease her fear out like that? What a monster. Leave Dr. Linda alone.
Well, as we found out, that's Michael's thing. Lucifer asks people what they desire, and Michael's all about what people fear.
Terrible superpower. Terrible.
Yes. Yeah. Also, we had the throwaway case of the week. We got to see some astronauts, some commercial astronauts. We got to meet Sharon Osbourne. I thought that was a fun lark.
From one Lord of Hell to the other, one Prince of Hell, Prince of Darkness, whatever.
Yes, the fact that she recognized Lucifer. Yeah, I thought that was funny. And I hope that she's on there because she's a fan of the show, like Kelly Clarkson.
Like she rang up and said, "I'll do an episode." Mites? Oh God, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, can you imagine being in a tax bracket where keeping up with the Joneses means keeping up with Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk? Imagine.
That was a very funny moment. Poor Bowers. I hate space.
Got to keep up with Musk.
Yeah. And what's funny is, like, I feel like we didn't get as much, or since the show's gone to Netflix, the procedural element is still there, but it's kind of been a little bit more in the background than it used to be.
I feel like it's both more in the background, but also more on the nose.
Yes. Yeah. It seemed, yeah. And somehow it's like the way that the suspects changed hands like 4 or 5 different times in like the last 10 minutes. It felt, trying to figure out how to put it. It felt
Whiplash,
convoluted.
dizzying.
Yeah.
Yes. Mini red herrings.
Yes. And it turned out, no, it wasn't the former astronaut. It was the former astronaut's. It was the mission controller's wife.
Well, not wife, secret girlfriend.
Oh,
and it was actually
right.
really sad when she was just like, "I did it because I love you so much," and he's like, "I love you too on the on Mars, on the moon. I love you." Okay, how about in San Quentin? Do you live over there? Because I was just glad to see the cousin Oliver from Burn Notice. That's always fun when he turns up on something. Hey, that guy.
There we go. But yeah. And you know what this episode was missing was Lucifer Morningstar.
Yes, a lot of Michael. Way too much Michael. Not enough Lucifer.
Yeah. We got to see Lucy at the very end, and just that one moment. What's happened? That was enough. All right, I'm excited. I can't wait to watch the next one.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You don't know what happens next. Ooh, let's move on.
Yeah. All right. And moving on. Lucifer. Season 5, Episode 3. Diablo. Chloe and Lucifer work to solve the murder of a television writer who was show writing a series called Lieutenant Diablo. Chloe felt she had no control over her life after learning that she was a gift from God to Lucifer. Dr. Linda got Maze to open up about her abandonment issues. Last minute reveal, Michael, now with an ugly scar on his face, told Maze that Lucifer is keeping a secret from her.
Okay, can you believe it took the show this long to do a show within a show spoof like this? Like, I'm impressed they held off until season 5.
Yeah, yeah. Especially the whole, we're in Hollywood anyway, so
It's low hanging fruit. Why wouldn't they just jump in? So yeah, no, it was as soon as I figured out what was happening, I was all in. I was on board. What did you think?
yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I'm interested to see how much the behind the scenes stuff um is reflective of what happens behind the scenes on Lucifer. Um but yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Uh yeah. And to see the dynamic, Detective Doofus, Detective Detective Dancer. I love that we never found out those actors' names. They were only
No,
referred to by their characters.
correct. I say this as somebody who looked really hard to find them because it felt weird to refer to them by their character names, but they were not given names of their own. We just didn't bother. Who has time? We have 8 episodes this season. Who has time for that? But listen, she went from the stripper pole to the detective pool in 3 short years.
Yeah. Yes. And I think it's funny. It's weird how a lot of the murders that have been happening are now having like a direct connection to Lucifer. You had Lee
Mhm.
in the first episode, who we'd met previously in the other season premieres, and this one, evidently evidently Lucifer helped introduce him to an executive, and chatted with him a lot on the weekends, and it turned into this show.
Well, and the fake Mars project fella
Oh
also
yes,
previous connection.
yeah,
That's a good point, actually.
yeah, yeah. It's all of a sudden it's becoming a small world. That's why at a certain point I wasn't sure if it was going to turn out that Michael had killed that guy.
Michael's slippery. Him and
Hmm.
his accent.
Yes, all the lies, and we got a showdown between Michael and Lucifer. They duked it out,
Uh,
and
that let's discuss that their fighting style. At some point, it's just two brothers wrestling over the controller when they're playing Call of Duty, right? Like that's what it turned into.
yeah. I mean, I was gonna say it's kind of it. I give it a B minus. I think the intent was there. The emotions were running high. You could tell that it was Tom Ellis there. Exactly half the time. Um, it seemed that.
I mean, those hands choking Tom Ellis weren't Tom Ellis's hands. What?
Also, I thought uh the CG on the one shot where he takes Maze's blade and cuts Michael's forehead, I thought that was actually like perfect. It looks seamless to me.
Uh huh.
Um, because that's you've been having actors fighting with themselves, doubles, for years, almost since the beginning of cinema. And so there are a lot of different tricks and things with split screens, and I thought that they used all of those tools really well in that fight scene.
Yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
It was seamless. The accent still bothers me, but that's okay. It's again, acting choice.
Yeah,
Acting
yeah,
choice.
yeah. Well, it's also interesting to see him go all like Blofeld Inspector on him. I am the architect of all your pain. Um, Michael just basically taking credit for uh, all of Lucifer's bad acts over the years, and just realize like he's just a bad brother, just a bad brother.
I guess he
You
really
know?
is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one thing to tease and poke and prod and have little squabbles, but like to go all out on that and slowly convince your brother to become a fallen angel. Like, oof. Um
I mean,
just yeah.
that was he worked hard incepting him on that, and it paid off for
Yeah.
Michael, not for
Hmm.
Lucifer.
Yes, yes. And I love now we have an easy way to tell them apart.
Yeah,
Um,
that was helpful, wasn't it? I think it's so the show could just shorthand it. You don't have to wonder, is that, so they didn't
mhm,
have to bother with.
yeah,
It's got to be easier for Tom Ellis not to do a British accent of Michael pretending to be Lucifer. Like, that feels like it would be complicated in his head.
yeah. Also, you could tell Michael hasn't been on Earth very long because, like, that open wound on his forehead when he went to meet Maze, that looked infected. That looked
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
geez, bandage
There
that
are
up.
earth germs that could get in there, and the scarring's going to be bad already. So, like, let's get that taken care of. Let's get nice plastics in here to consult.
Yes, 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 and Maze, yeah, yeah. I thought it was an interesting choice to basically have Maze's arc be like, let's get her on the couch with Linda, and basically have Linda spend like 3 segments slowly coaxing it out of her what's bothering her.
Yeah, and she does. Linda is so patient and so ignored by everybody all the time. Poor Linda. I did super love them watching the Lieutenant Diablo episode and finding out that Maze is just a big buff bald dude. Love it.
It's like looking in a mirror. Mhm. Also, Blaze. That was the that was that character's
Blaze,
name.
of
Oh,
course.
yes. We didn't find out Dr. Linda's character's name. Um,
I did. Can I just be that guy for a second? I did enjoy the tiny little meta commentary on Hollywood that makes every woman character just an idiot sex pot. I mean, it's just, I get it. I see what they were doing. I appreciated it. It wasn't subtle. But it was there. I mean, we recognize those tropes because, like, yeah, that's Hollywood does that a lot. So, and
yeah.
Lucifer doesn't really. So that's also what makes that really refreshing. I
Yes,
enjoy that.
yes. Yeah, yeah, and also I do think it was very funny how, you remember Chloe's history, she used to be an actress and she was in a teen sex comedy, and all of a sudden that evolves into her being a reformed stripper.
Uh huh. Uh huh. Well, that was the showrunner. He throw out what the writers did and just toss in a lap dance. That's how it works.
Mhm. Mhm. Now, does that show get canceled? Do they recast? How do they recover?
I feel like with a showrunner and the lead actor gone, you just have to cancel, don't you?
Mhm.
Or do you rebrand with Dancer in the lead? Well, she doesn't want to either because she's arrested. No, you got it. It's gone. Like, both of your
Yeah.
leads are gone. If you had one of them, maybe. But both of them?
Mhm. I hope Carrie, the head writer, uh does get to pitch her own show now.
You know what? I bet she does. I bet she rides that to showrunner status and she's the
Mhm.
next, you know, Shonda Rhimes. She's the next, some powerhouse female TV magnate. That's what I want for her. Carrie
No,
deserves that. She put up with a lot.
no, because she was wrongfully arrested, and that's enough of a strike that she won't work in the business for at least a decade.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's how it works in Hollywood.
yeah,
Bad
yeah,
behavior, really.
yeah, and everyone will always suspect that she killed her old boss.
I I feel like that actually gets you farther in Hollywood.
Mm, mm, yeah, but I don't know. I could follow that up, but I don't. I I can't be that much of a bad guy. It's people know I'm putting on an act, right, Sarah? Like this is a character that I play from time to time.
Oh, I gotta say, it sounds a lot like usual you. So your acting is seamless. You just flow right into that.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. I know. Uh, um. So yeah, yeah, and it's funny because last episode I talked about how the the case of the week kind of felt like an afterthought, and in this episode it really took to the forefront. And I have noticed in these episodes usually, you know, they solve the case around the 45-minute mark, and then like the last 10 minutes of the episode is usually just Michael stuff.
Just Michael stuff.
Yeah. It's the season long arc. So it's basically like it's basically like a regular episode, and then we get the season arc tacked on at the end of the show. Like this is the stuff we can do on Netflix now.
Yeah, well, because we have just a little bit more to play with time wise, and
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Although I will be disappointed in the next episode if we don't get to see what hell is like under Amenadiel's control.
Everybody's in cardigans. Everybody's learning to swaddle. It's important for babies. I don't know. My outstanding question here is hot cinnamon vape sounds terrible. Can anybody defend that choice?
No. I think it's one of those things where it has a scent. It has a scent that I've never heard before, so that's going to be my thing now, without any regard for whether or not it's a pleasurable scent.
Yeah, that's me. That's who I am now. Deal with it. So we actually haven't talked about Chloe and Lucifer's reunion.
Yes.
And I was a little disappointed, honestly. After the drama of the reunion with fake Lucifer, this one was a little more, there wasn't a kiss, and it's just a little more understated, and it happened so much faster. I don't know. I wanted maybe a little bit, just a little bit more, just a little bit.
Yeah.
But,
what do you
they've got stuff. They've got stuff to work out now. So much stuff. So, do you remember the TV show Ed? It was on in the early aughts. Yeah. Tom Cavanaugh. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Julie Bowen. So I remember reading an interview with the showrunner way back, and they joked about by season 7 of Ed, they would just have dug a pit and put crocodiles in it and put Ed on one side and Carol on the other to keep them apart. Like that's like it'll be crocodile pit. That's what's keeping them apart, because you have to do that to keep the tension going. And so this episode felt like, oh, here's our crocodile pit. Chloe's a gift from God. All right, that's our crocodile pit. Got it. Because they got to do something to keep them apart a little longer. So I was a little frustrated with that. I get it. The fight is authentic. The tension is authentic. It comes from their history, their characters. Nothing about it rang untrue, but I was still just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But, Chloe's got a lot to deal with. I'm not saying she shouldn't grapple with it, but it was like, oh, well, there's your crocodile pit.
Yeah, and she's dealing with I guess they're trying to avoid the moonlighting curse. Is that because that's like the one show where like, oh, finally they had sex, and then the show just stopped being interesting. And I'm wondering, like, are they going to drag that out? Or are they going to get together at the end of this half season, like in episode 8? Because remember, this was supposed to be the last season. Or is it just going to be they end up together at the end of, at the absolute end of season 5, and then season 6 is okay, let's do a victory lap where they're together.
So I am, of course, no spoilers for me, but I am really curious if we're going to be able to tell at what point the writing shifts from we're ending this with season 5 to, oh, we got to keep the door open for season 6. Are we going to be able to see when storylines that were cruising for a conclusion suddenly become not that, right? So I'm kind of keeping an eye on that, because I assume these first 8 episodes were pretty well locked by the time they made that decision. But yeah, that's something I personally am looking forward to checking out as we watch whenever this back half of the season drops.
All right. We're going a little overtime. So I think is there anything else we've covered, or can we?
No, let's move on. Ed, I just gotta say, you're gonna love this next episode. I cannot wait to hear what you think.
Ooh. Okay. All right. So moving on. Lucifer, season 5, episode 4. It never ends well for the chicken. Trixie showed up alone to Lucifer's loft for game night and got Lucy to tell her a story. In 1946, Lucy showed up in New York City to help Mazakine's mother Lilith recover a stolen ring. Last minute reveal, Maze met briefly with her aged mother and walked away dissatisfied.
Okay, I'm gonna just get out of the way and let you say things about this episode. What did you think?
Oh, all the feels. All the feels. I loved everything. This is your classic old-fashioned hard-boiled noir. It is so 40s. Like, I felt just Humphrey Bogart and Edward G. Robinson all over this. I really enjoyed it, the way they did everything in black and white. I thought the gender swapping thing was fun. I was afraid in the beginning that Trixie was going to interrupt too often, but there was a couple times in the bit, and then they really let the story play through. Um, and it didn't get too Princess Bride. But yeah, yeah, I really enjoyed it, and just like you could tell that, I mean, this is a Warner Brothers show, so you could tell they must have been on an old Warner Brothers backlot that, was probably set up, from around the time that they were representing in the show. And just all the camera techniques, the transitions, the dissolves, everything about this felt like it was a movie from 1946.
Yes, I loved the shadows and the lighting and the musical crescendos, and it just they were so thoughtful in how they staged it and filmed it and shot it and scored it, and it just the story itself was good too. I mean, it was not just a throwaway sort of alt reality type thing. It worked for me, but just the technical side of things I thought was really really fun, and it was gorgeous black and white. You have black and white, and then you have black and white, and this was black and white. It was so pretty, so lush.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, like, you know and we may be getting into the weeds of with film school talk, but if you're shooting in black and white, it's meant to be lit very differently from if you're shooting in color. And I'm assuming, just because this is 2020, that Lucifer is probably shot digitally. But if it had been shot on film, I would have wondered, did they shoot it in black and white and convert it? But they lit this as if they were shooting black and white, and it really shows the effort that they put into it.
Yeah,
uh
exactly. The effort is evident, and I loved it. It just yes, they worked very hard. Also, they found a way to have Leslie Ann Bryant sing again, which is great. Leslie Ann Bryant, because she in season 4 had that lovely song at Lux, and they were like, "All right, we're going to double down on this. We're going to make her sing like 3 times. Let's do it." It was good. I was impressed.
yeah, and the other thing that I really like about Lucifer as a show is when they do a musical performance, they do the whole song,
Uh huh.
which is something. Usually it's like, we'll do a stanza or two, you get the idea, and then we cut off. No, if you're doing a musical performance on Lucifer, you're going to do the whole song. We're going we're going to have this there for posterity, so you could actually upload it as a complete music video on YouTube. um and they really get you to enjoy it. And those are real songs from the 40s. Those are old standard tunes from the Great American Songbook. um I guess that's what you'd call it. But yeah, and the way that they played around with everyone, um where you still get to have all the same actors and characters. Although I was surprised that Ella turned out to be the victim, and
Yeah.
and Dan's
Yes.
the murderer.
Yes. It was just I felt like the actors enjoyed playing against type. That Ella got to be sort of menacing and Dan got to be dictatorial, and can I just say the Kevin Alejandro, who plays Dan, has to be the best sport in real life, because he didn't used to be quite the butt of so many jokes in the early seasons, right? And they've shifted him to just be mocked all the time, and he's just down for it. Good for he's still working, getting a paycheck. He's good.
Well, I can almost see him playing into that, like, no, 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 give me more stuff like that because it gives him more screen time. Uh, and
Call me any names. Make all the mini hot dog jokes you want. It's fine. It's fine.
yeah. So yeah, I thought this was really fun, and what's funny, you could call this kind of an indulgent episode. You could also call the previous episode we watched, very much like, oh, this is something you would get on a network, on a network drama where it's like, okay, let's just have one episode because we have 22 to play with that we can have fun. And this season is going to end up being 16 episodes, but it's still integral to the overall arc of the season. And you find out that this fun little fairy tale that Lucifer tells Trixie ends up being the secret that he's hiding from Mazikeen, that
Mhm.
that her mother gave up immortality, and didn't want to see her, and didn't want to meet her children.
Well, she didn't want to undo all their perfection. No
Yes.
attachments. Nothing.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah. It just, and unfortunately, Maze has had all of that undone in other ways, and this is not helping.
No,
And
it is certainly not.
and
uh,
where does she what does she do from here? Because I feel like she's got to kill Michael, right? Like that's got to be a thing. Like this has got to be. But does she go for Lucifer on top of that? Oh.
as per usual, I say nothing. But
Hmm.
I loved the you had the twist, like you expect the twist in the storytelling because it's noir, right? That's what they do. So it's Gertie, the bartender twist, but also the twist at the end that Maze put Trixie up to that twist. So I just like the layers of storytelling. This one really I sometimes, and people who listen to the show have heard me say this before, don't always love a dream sequence, don't always love a like an alt type storytelling like that, but this one was just a lot of fun. The actors seemed to be having fun. The technical quality was exquisite. Of course, I'm a sucker for costumes. And Trisha Helfer, hello, mom's
Y-
back.
yes, Mom is back. Um, and of course she plays the ignored housewife. Um, and which is a character that, if she showed up at all in a Private Eye movie, was probably on screen for about 30 seconds. It was just to
Hmm.
establish, oh, this guy's married. And it was cool how they dealt with all that, where it's like, oh yeah, we love these movies, but they weren't perfect either. And it's a cool way to talk about gender politics without getting preachy about it.
Hmm. Yeah, and just Trixie saying, "Hey, where are the women?" I appreciated that too. So this was delightful. And it was a gimmick episode that moved things forward. It took its time telling the story, so it wasn't entirely devoted to moving the narrative ball forward, and yet it did. You're going to see some of that play out with Maze because she found her mom. So,
Yeah, and I love how the show keeps me guessing all season. Like, I thought we were gonna spend all this time waiting um for the gang to figure out that Lucifer was really Michael, and turns out that was solved in 2 episodes. And the second, Michael told Mazikeen that Lucifer's keeping a secret, I thought we were gonna have to wait all season to find out what that secret was, and nope, we find out the very next episode. So,
mhm.
um yeah, there's the forward momentum on this show with the storytelling, and there's a lot going on, and I really enjoy it.
Well, and you make a good point. It actually is a 16 episode season, so it's not that far off from a usual network run. It's just these 8 felt not contained necessarily, but it really felt like they were driving toward a particular narrative end game, and it is a shorter series of episodes. But I guess they could have played more with the Michael no identity thing. I don't know. I'm glad they paced it the way they paced it, but when you said 16, I thought, oh yeah, that actually is quite a few hours to play with, especially when you look at how the run times are a little longer than networks. So they do have time for these little diversions. I don't know.
Yeah.
We got Maze singing. The end.
Yeah. And usually in a long form 23 episode season, usually at least 4 or 5 of them are not that great.
Yeah.
And
I hear you.
with 16 episodes, we just don't make those episodes, those bad ones. So, yeah, it helps ensure quality. So all right. Anything more you think we need to chat about, or I think we can move forward?
I say on to the next one.
All right. Onwards and upwards. Lucifer. Season 5, Episode 5. Detective Amenadiel. Wanting some time away from Lucifer, Chloe called Amenadiel to consult on the murder of a nun at a convent. Lucy impatiently hung around with Dan as he did grunt work on Chloe's case. Maze took her mommy issues out on Dr. Linda by goading her into tracking down the daughter she gave up. Last minute reveal, finally willing to be vulnerable around each other. Chloe and Lucy embraced and made out to soft piano music.
Never write romance, Ed.
What?
Soft piano music. Yeah, so let's talk about some personal growth in this episode.
Oh, man. I mean, it's... You think you have this show figured out, and like 4 episodes in a row, there's something like, I mean, I'm figuring like, so when are they going to get together? And it's like, nope, it's the end of the very next episode. Um, I thought that they were going to drag that out forever. But yeah, they tied. Interesting how they're playing with the mythology here. I mean, I guess like Michael is probably, I would think next to Gabriel, Michael is probably the most well known or most talked about angel.
Mhm.
And I was always curious like why they never plugged him in here into the show and to save it for this season and have him be the evil twin. I thought that was a great choice, but now what they're doing and kind of establishing how each angel has their own thing that they can make humans reflect. So with Lucifer, it's desire. With Michael, it's fear. And now we find out in this episode with Amenadiel, he reflects people's faith.
Mm-hmm. And you would think Amenadiel would have noticed that prior to this. He's been out in the world. You would think that would have happened before, but that's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you also got to remember, like, he's because he really only shows up on Earth because Lucy's there, because Lucifer is there, and he's really only interacted with Lucifer's friends, and one of them is a demon. So like to see him out in a crowd, and I think it's also the fact that he's at a convent. These are women who presumably have very devout faith, and it was it was very funny to see DB Woodside walk into that convent, and all of a sudden you had 20 nuns just surround him like they're Beatles fans.
I honestly assume that's just what happens every time DB Woodside goes anywhere. I mean, but no, that was really funny. And I really actually quite liked that. Was it Sister Francesca at the end? Francine, thank you. Who was just so confused. So, like, why am I don't understand. I just again, probably a common DB Woodside. Like, I'm married, but like I don't
Remember, Dan, no shortcuts.
Yeah. So, but that I like that, and the show does play with its mythology. I mean, there have been. I really struggled season 3, season 4 with that idea of the self-actualization, that because Lucifer felt more devilish, he had the devil face, or less devilish, and it would go away. So that really helped me adjust to what they're going to do with the powers moving forward. So, okay, they reflect things. Sure. Why not? But I was just so pleased that they yet again it was set up something that could have been really frustratingly dragged out, the central relationship, but they addressed it really quickly. Again, so brisk storytelling all the way through this season.
Yes, 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 and yeah. I mean, just the way they're moving forward. I'm curious to see like how far they're going to take this. Um, and that I mean they're really playing like this is the last season.
Yeah, it really really feels like it. So,
um,
well, again, I'll wait until you're all done with all the episodes for us to have a
mhm.
more global conversation. But yes, it really feels like they were shooting for an end goal.
Yes. Yes. I thought the stuff with Dan, you seeing how he does a lot of follow-up work, basically tracking down leads, even sifting through goat poop at one point. Um
No respect. Ugh,
can we talk about Maze and Dr. Linda for a minute?
we absolutely can. Oh, Mace. I would tell her that she needs some therapy, but she's literally running around with a therapist, so I don't even know.
Yeah. It like I didn't realize until like partway through that scene how mean Maze was being to Linda. Um
Yeah, and I
Dredging
was
up all of that. Mhm.
so glad when Linda finally said, "Hey, this is not me. You're mad at." I was really glad when she finally was able to push back. But I'm sure it was hard for her given the emotional upheaval of the situation.
Mm, yes. Yes. And yeah, and we found out Lily Rose, who we just met the last episode, finally Maze goes to confront her and finds that she passed away a few days ago.
Yeah,
Uh
that's rough.
yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Just the unresolved. Yeah, but I.
Mhm.
Yeah.
uh yeah, and so so do you I see it's funny because I want to ask a question. Do you think we're going to get to see Dr. Linda talk with Adriana again? Um but
That I was when I watched this episode, I was left with the impression that they're not going to undo that is something that they're going to circle back to. You don't meticulously cast a blonde woman in glasses like that and not expect to see her again.
mm,
So that's my take. My big thought was like, oh, there's going to be so much explaining to do if/when they do finally meet. Weren't you part of that really dysfunctional couple that came through? Did you two make it? Because it seemed like you were not destined for the long run.
yeah. Yeah. Um yeah. So yeah. So lots of emotions running high in this scene. I thought the caper was really cool.
Uh huh.
And damn it, the idea that people in Hollywood, that faith-based singer wouldn't be what she's representing. That's just a crying shame.
Indeed. I also quite liked Dan. I like Dan in this episode. Uh, uh, Dan this season, I had some good Dan episodes. And I don't usually, but him talking so passionately about the grunt work, right? Cross-checking records and doing those deep dives and the puzzle piece, and you find it all comes into perspective. I enjoyed watching his take. Lucifer tried to make him feel small for the kind of detective work that he does. And Dan was like, no, this is what I do. This is what we do. And Lucifer then reading the transcripts was a nice little that little personal growth. Would
Mhm.
Lucifer from 5 seasons ago have done that? I doubt it, but he did, and it made a difference. I really liked those two together, and I can't believe I'm saying that because usually I don't. So
Mhm. Yeah, and I don't usually talk about my job on this, but I'm not a detective, but that uh puzzle piece aspect of it is one of the things I really like about my job.
mhm.
And what I'm enjoying it is trying to make those things fit together and get to the real truth of the matter. Um, yeah, Yeah. All right. So at this point, um, I I caught a peek at the title of the next episode.
Mhm.
So I feel like I'm not going to say it here. I'm not going to say it here. I'll wait till we get to the other side. But I'm wondering, like, is the next episode going to start with Chloe and Lucifer in bed? Are we gonna find out that they went to the bone zone? Um,
The next episode is not called Bone Zone, everybody.
no, it's not. It's not. But yeah, and yeah. So I'm trying to even figure out like what's like the big reveal, the giant momentum forward that we could have in this episode. But yeah, I feel like we should just get to it. Sarah, do you want to give
Oh,
any hints or just have me wallow in misery for the next hour?
wallow
Oh.
in misery, my friend.
All right, let's get to it. Lucifer, Season 5, Episode 6, Blue Balls. A rap DJ was electrocuted by a set of headphones meant for Chloe's hunky ex, Jed. Lucifer became jealous after Chloe skirted talking about their relationship around Jed. Maze turned to Ella for tips about being emotionally available. Amenadiel misinterpreted Dan's parenting advice and upset Linda. Last minute reveal, Chloe and Lucy kissed and undressed each other in the bedroom.
It finally happened. 5 seasons, 6 episodes. Huzzah!
I will say, I have talked about how much we've been moving forward with every episode. And of course, right after I say that, it takes a whole episode for us to move to kissing by the piano to undressing in the bedroom.
Well, yeah, it's been 5 seasons and a whole episode. So I had a slight problem with Chloe in this episode,
Okay.
in that she knows exactly who Lucifer is, right? She knows this dude.
Mm.
So when when DJ Jed says, "Are you in a relationship?" and she says no, like, of course Lucifer's gonna spin. Of course he's gonna spin out. Like, all she had to do was say, "I'm at the start of something. I'm not really sure where it's going." Like, she didn't have to. It was, oh, Chloe, I stick up for you, and you do this, Chloe.
Yeah. She got cold feet. It just suddenly turned awkward.
And I get not wanting to blab at work. I understand that. She didn't have to say it was somebody I work with. She could just say, But I guess she was probably rattled by seeing Jed again because, that is one handsome, confusing DJ. Just, that dude didn't strike me as a DJ type. Like, what do I guess I don't know any professional DJs. I don't know. I just know him as the former professional baseball player from Netflix's Sweet Magnolias. And so I laughed the whole time he was on the screen because those are two very different shows.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So yeah, we got some fun look into um also very interesting being in the middle of this pandemic and then watching an episode that where like the beginning opens up at this giant outdoor concert.
It made me
Um,
cringe a little bit, yes. Yes. Remember groups? Remember big groups, Ed?
mm,
Remember
yes.
live music? Remember going to raves, dropping some Molly, and I can't even fake it. I have never,
Yeah,
that's not.
no.
I'm an
No.
old. I'm an old.
Yeah. Well, is it weird to admit I don't think I've never been to a live music concert that you had to pay like more than $20 to get into.
That actually is a little weird.
Yeah.
Huh. Are you just not a
Yeah.
live music guy?
And this is the part where everyone goes crazy. I'm just not that much of a music guy.
No, I don't. I'm similar. I'm similar. The moving the needle crew, I love them. But they always are like, "You want to come on and talk about music?" And I'm just like, "No, I do not." Super don't. I do not
Yeah.
do music. I enjoy it.
Mhm.
Most of my music, I feel like, comes from soundtracks from TV and movies. I just, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of my musical taste just came from the stuff my mom had in the playing records in the background.
So a lot of Air Supply. A lot of Air Supply.
No. I mean like stuff from like the 60s and 70s.
That's what that anyway.
And you know about James Taylor, or Billy Joel. Um but so yeah. This is not that type of music that we covered in the episode here. So yeah. So for this was a little different because I feel like we fleshed out the multiple storylines going here. And it's interesting how you have we have the main show, whatever's going with Chloe. Um and it's interesting to see how people have paired off in the show this season. You kind of have like Maze and Linda doing their old thing, except in this episode, Maze kind of glommed onto Ella, and Dan and Amenadiel, kind of the weird friendship that they've struck over, sharing daddy stories. Uh, I thought that blossomed nicely in this episode.
This was yet another episode where I liked Dan. He was supportive. He was a good friend. The show did a lot of work with making him a little less. I don't know. They made him a little more part of the group, I guess.
Mhm.
And then,
God
and
damn it,
then-
Michael!
Michael.
Michael! Just the rotten kid on vacation who's just doing everything wrong and is just gets screamed at by his parents the whole time.
You want to leave him behind at the rest stop?
Michael, stop hanging off the balcony like that kid in Superman 2.
Yeah.
just asking for trouble. So yeah. Now Dan has seen Lucifer's face. I don't know what the heck that means. Do you think it was his call that Chloe ignored?
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't really thought about that, but I could see Dan reaching out to her, knowing how close they are and wanting to presumably warn her, like, "Oh my God, he's not who you think or what you think he is."
Mhm. Yeah. Also, like, how weird is it going to be? Well, I guess now Ella will end up being the last cast member. Who knows?
Yes.
Um.
Yes. Speaking of Ella, what do we think about Pete?
I think he's adorable.
Yeah, I don't love. Okay, you knew it was coming. Look, if your beat is the crime beat, and you fancy somebody involved in crime stopping, that's not ethically great, but they're cute together, so I will allow it.
Yeah, but she's really cool.
Yeah. Yes. And obviously, I mean, see, this is what I meant when I said when she made that comment about I just can't lay off the bad boys. I thought, ooh, yeah, they made that casting announcement about a love interest. They want to juxtapose that. So that's why I think they were pushing that so hard in the earlier episodes. So when he came in the scene, we'd be like, oh, sure. Yeah. This is exactly who she should be with.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's also funny how Pete has absolutely no game.
None. Zero.
Just really like, hey, with those puppy dog eyes, and it's just like, all right, you want my number? No. Just no game at all. Yeah, and that storyline. What did you think of Maze dressing up as Ella and trying to imitate
Maze
her?
is trying. Bless her. She's really trying. And I feel like nobody in her life, like, she's not talking to Lucifer. She's kind of pushing away Linda. Nobody's listening to what she's saying. Linda tried, but that didn't go so well. But she's clearly spiraling. Poor Maze. But her as Ella was great. She did a good impression. She stole her clothes. It was very authentic.
Yeah. I thought that was fun, and the end of the way that storyline ended, that note, where Ella's like, "You'll find your soulmate," and Maze basically says, well, you have to have a soul first. And just realizes like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, that she's a
Yeah,
demon.
wrong thing to say. You were trying, but that's not what she
Mhm.
needed.
Yeah, yeah. So is Linda still mad at the end of this episode, or is this just kind of like a husband wife quick squabble thing? I need to just go out and party and forget about it.
I think just party and forget about it. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think she's okay.
I don't understand. I just told her that it's okay that she messes up all the time, and oh,
Oh no.
oh, I can see how that. Yeah. Oh, so some good family moments in this episode. A fun a fun murder case. So do you buy that Chloe and Jed went out? It seemed a little awkward and weird that those two would have ended up being like, I can understand why it wouldn't work out. Um, but the fact that they were together in the first place, I don't know.
I feel like she might have been a slightly different person in her youth, and
Mm,
before he was, I mean, he still didn't strike me as famous, successful DJ guy. Like that wasn't the persona he put off at all, I didn't think. So I could see that guy dating her. Yeah, no, I see them together. That didn't bother me.
okay,
That
okay.
didn't bother me. I just didn't see him as a DJ ever. Like
Mm.
where's the arrogance? Where's the entitlement? Where's the, like, you're famous, man. Be famous. Make people not look you in the eye.
Well, I mean, he's doing an outdoor concert in LA, so maybe he's just like local famous.
Ouch. The message boards, I seem to have fans from all over, but
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Also, he's not an MC; he's a DJ. I think there's a difference.
I don't again, see above re. I'm an old.
All right. Cool. All right. And so yeah. So the question, the next episode, which I did not see the title for yet. Um will this open up with Lucifer and Chloe in bed together? And will be confirmed the fact that they did the deed, or was there another call that Chloe had to take? Sarah knows and I don't.
I'm biting my tongue real hard right now.
I can't believe there's only 2 left. Uh, all right. Sarah, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Lucifer, Season 5, Episode 7, Our Mojo. The morning after their first night together, Lucifer's mojo passed on to Chloe. The vicious slaying of an opera singer turned out to be the work of a serial killer. Ella found journalist Pete to be caring, supportive, and a fellow Klingon speaker. Maze tried working out her issues by starting a fight with a Menadil. Last minute reveal: Dan shot Lucifer in front of Chloe.
Dan, I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. I spent all season thinking, Dan's not so bad. I'm really warming up to him. And then this is how he repays me.
Sarah, you are vile. You are evil. Evil for leading me on like that.
I'm so sorry. I'm a sealed tomb when it comes to spoilers. Um, you know, it makes sense because Dan has been on this roller coaster since Charlotte died and trying to find direction and blah blah blah. I do wish we'd shown him struggling a little. I don't know. This happened fast. This felt like too short for the evolution. But that's just me.
Mm. I want to see how they explain this to Trixie.
Well, your dad tried to shoot your mom's boyfriend.
Yeah, because he thought he was the devil.
Well, because he is I mean, like,
Yeah, yes.
poor
yes.
Dan. Is he wrong? Is he wrong?
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Yet he's terribly wrong.
And Michael's entrance, so douchey.
So douchey.
Yeah. Of course, he's got the pristine white robes.
He really knows how to dress for the occasion.
Yeah. So, I what's funny, all the talk of mojo in this episode really made me think of Austin Powers. Um, I've lost my mojo, baby.
I mean, that's basically what Lucifer spent the whole hour saying. I gotta say, I wanted to smack Chloe around because she was awfully insensitive about, like, just get over it. You lost your superpower. Get over it. Oh, no. Like, that's, even if it's not Lucifer, even if it's not somebody who, what is it that Dr. Linda said? Self-absorbed, narcissistic, the most immature person in the universe. Like, even if it's not that guy, it's going to be really hard to lose something that is such a part of your identity. So for her to be like, can't we just be a happy couple? No. Like, be sensitive. Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, she ended up getting it in the end. I was gonna say that seemed to be like the most efficient couples therapy session I have ever seen.
Well, Dr. Linda knows her stuff. She's going to run you through your paces.
Yes, this is true. Also, it is very funny with the past couple of episodes how Linda has talked very openly about her sexual escapades with Lucifer, and then to see her tense up when Amenadiel admitted that he almost had sex with Maze in this episode.
Yeah, I thought it's interesting. They reminded us a couple of times about Linda's past with Lucifer. I guess it's pertinent because of Chloe. I did like last episode when she was like, "It's not forked. It's not weird." Oh, Linda, you're a friend. You're a mensch. But yeah, that was. I don't know if that's a baby daddy thing. Just I don't want that complication or what. But it was interesting.
Yeah. And it seems like Maze didn't really find what she was looking for, but she got another friend in Amenadiel. He tried to be as supportive as he could, but
I'm telling you, this first half of season 5 is all about these supporting cast friendships. You watch Linda and Maze, Linda and Amenadiel and Dan. They keep pairing them up, and it's so good every time. It's just a credit to the supporting cast. But mostly, I need to know, how are you doing after watching Ella speak Klingon?
Very jealous, because as much of a Star Trek fan as I am, I never took the time to learn Klingon.
Life is long. You still have time.
Yes. Although, a fun fact, my mother, when the brief time before she met my father, when she was working in publishing, it was her job to assign someone to proofread the Klingon English dictionary.
Really?
Yes. Which, it's very hard to find someone who can find the spelling and grammatical errors in a book about a fake language.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine. I love, though, that there are people out there who do that. They had a linguist come in and create Dothraki for Game of Thrones. So there's just, they hire people to make things up and have unified grammar rules. I love it. What a great job.
Yes, if anyone has the DVDs or Blu-rays for Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock, there's a whole segment there of hosted by the linguist who came up with Klingon, and explains how he put it all together for that movie.
Very carefully. He put it together very carefully. But no, Ella and Pete are cruising along. I liked that they became the Lucifer role models. Wait, is that a healthy relationship? Is that a healthy relationship? Huh. Okay, but we have to talk about how this episode pivots hard into your standard serial killer procedural. Like, you've got the profiling, you've got the burst into the apartment, don't turn on any lights, have to look at everything with flashlights, just turn on a light. That's going to really speed things up. just ticks every box basically for me in the procedural serial killer genre.
Yeah, and the first half of this episode, it's all like, oh, let's learn about the world of opera singing and find all of the players and slowly try to figure out, okay, which one of these is the real killer. And then like halfway through, it just no, that second body shows up, and all of a sudden, all of that other stuff goes to the wayside, and we're trying to find Les Klumsky.
What a great name. I was a little creeped out in the darkroom scene with Ella.
Mm.
It was no, go ahead.
No, I was afraid for a minute that Les may have been hiding in there.
Mm-hmm. It just something felt off about that, and it just, and maybe it was just the the light bulbs and the red lights and the everything, but yeah, something felt ooh. So I also thought Chloe, I'm down on Chloe this episode, I guess, but when she found Lucifer passed out, she's like, Lucifer, are you okay? Turn around, woman. The person who did this clearly is still. Put your back to the wall. Jeez.
Yeah, and some good police work in this episode, putting it all together. Lots of stuff to enjoy, and and just trying to figure out, now like, where do we go from here? I mean, I can't believe that we only have one episode left to cover.
Mm-hmm. There's literally nothing I can say that isn't. I'm just. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
I need you to watch this last episode, Ed. I got to talk about it with somebody. Nobody in my household has seen the last episode yet, and I'm ready to burst. So.
Okay. All right. So yeah. It sounds like we're done talking about this episode. So Sarah, what you've been watching on TV lately?
I've been eating, sleeping, and breathing Lucifer.
Oh, okay. I have one episode left.
Do you now? I've also been watching Letterkenny, so I just want to tell you to pitter patter, please. Which somebody out there is going to get that if you don't.
Okay. Okay. All right. You ready to go?
Yes, please.
Yeah. All right, let's get to it. Lucifer, mid-season 5 finale. Spoiler alert. Chloe was kidnapped. Lucifer and Ella scrambled to find the real Whisper Killer after Les Kronsky turned out to be a copycat. Ella was worried she and Pete were moving too fast. Amenadiel was concerned when Charlie developed a fever. Maze pined for a soul enough to join forces with Michael. Last minute reveal, Dad broke up the fight.
All right, Ed, let's hear it.
Oh, wow. I mean, so much revelations. I almost feel like I just watched 2 episodes cuz I mean, they wow, just all those hooks. I mean, I kind of had the feeling that maybe it was Michael who kidnapped Chloe and not the Whisper Killer. But the real thing, Sarah, I called you in the middle of this episode, about 24 minutes in. This show is about an hour. And what did I say to you?
If Pete ends up to be the Whisper Killer, I swear to God.
I said I would be very upset, and I was very upset.
Well, my interpretation. And like a lady, I said, keep watching.
And then 7 minutes later,
So here's my thing. I threw a line out for you in the previous episode when I asked about that darkroom scene when he and Ella were looking through the negatives, because I got such a spooky vibe from him. Like, I thought, is he going to pull a knife out? Is he actually the Whisper Killer? And then I thought, oh no, that's just silly. He's just the Klingon loving goofball. And then Darn if I wasn't right. So I was curious if you
Yeah,
picked up on it, but I didn't want to overplay my hand because that was a huge. I was shocked. Like I did not see that coming, other than those little hints.
yeah. I did not even get the sense until he mentioned to Ella that he had a bunch of research at his apartment.
See, and that was the
You know?
second clue for me that I was like, ooh, huh,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's when I called you, and all of a sudden it shook me, and just like, man, Ella needed to win. I mean, she's so upset she's not even in the last 15 minutes of this episode. You
I'm
know?
genuinely worried about her. I am genuinely worried about that character moving forward. That's a blow.
hmm
'Cause he was
Although
gonna
it
murder her.
does, yeah, it does confirm that she still really just falls for bad boys.
Really
Um,
falls for the bad boys. Oh, Ella. Oh, I hope she books some time with Dr. Linda. She's gonna need it.
oh, honey, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
honey.
yeah.
But I also have to say, props to the show. They broke the news of that actor's casting as a love interest for Ella with no indication. Like hook, line, and sinker, I bought that reporting. So really impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, by the way, if you haven't, the one thing I forgot to tell you before we started recording, you should have a winner of the week for the end of the season, but we'll get to that later. Um,
Okay.
so you have like 10 minutes to think of that. So let's talk about the Whisper Killer. The one, I think this season, I mean, Lucifer, the show, you always kind of play fast and loose with the detective work, and I'm sure real cops probably would scoff at a lot of the stuff that happens in this show, and the stuff that happens on every cop show on TV. But the one thing that really stretched credulity to me is that Ella and Lucifer would be the main people on this case after Chloe got kidnapped and Dan went AWOL.
Oh my God,
And
thank you. There was that scene when she was thanking the precinct for taking such good care to find her, and I was just like, they didn't though. They left a CSI person and the arrogant consultant to do all the work. What? Are there no other detectives in that precinct?
yeah, I feel like they probably didn't want to introduce another character who was just going to be like a blowhard telling Lucifer, "Get out of here, scram. I don't need any help from some bar owner." Um, you know, that type.
I
um,
understood for efficiency's sake, just do it that way. I get it, but it was weird. It was weird. But all's well that ends well. We have our serial killer and then our just killer. So
mhm.
and Chloe got to visit a zoo. She got an all access pass to an old zoo. Lucky Chloe.
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking of really offensive lines from the first Rocky movie that I'm not going to repeat here.
Oh
Um,
my God.
about people making fun of Rocky's girlfriend Adrian. Um, but uh, yeah. It was interesting. It was interesting. I mean, you go through this whole. It's funny. Like I want to see the narrative outlining on this episode. Just the way that they just shifted and had you go all the way out here on this Whisper Killer and then come back. And it's almost like we felt the episode was over, and then there's this whole other underlying thing here where you realize that Michael's been working at this the whole time. Um,
The whole time. What did you think about Michael's grand plan?
uh, I mean, it seemed a little flimsy. Um, the one thing, like the idea that he actually got Charlie sick at the end, and that's what made Amenadiel freak out and cause time to actually stop at the end. That seemed particularly devious. But he's also so snarky that I don't want to admit that he's that smart, that he actually thought of that.
Yeah, who gets a baby sick? That's some monstrous stuff. I loved that shot though. It was so on the nose. I get it, but the literal angel and the literal devil on Amenadiel's shoulder, and I just love that it's the devil who's like, "Hey, bro, let's take a step back and just do some deep breathing," and the angel's like, "Do it."
Yeah, and the grand showdown with Lucifer fighting with Maze fighting Lucifer and Amenadiel fighting Michael. And then just right at the end when the three angels just all go wings out. Oh,
Wings out.
and I am really, really upset that the identity of Dad was reported in the news. I really wish that had been a surprise.
Wouldn't that have
Like,
been cool? Because what better casting is there? But yes, that was. And I was actually kind of
yes,
disappointed that they had his name in the credits. I had forgotten about all of that. I mean, I knew the
yeah,
story, but when I saw his name, I was like, oh, yeah. So if they had kept that out,
yeah,
that would have been fun
yeah,
too.
yeah. It's Dennis Haysbert for those of you who might have forgotten.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yes, and yeah, I almost feel like that's the kind of thing like other shows or if it's a movie and that's a big, that would be like the tack on at the very end before they give the producers credit. It would have said special guest appearance by, you know. Um,
For sure.
but yeah,
Maze's
Dennis
portrayal.
Haysbert, great choice.
Oh, yes, great choice. I
Mhm.
love his cozy sweater. It's great. It's what God would wear. I was sad that
Mhm.
Maze made that choice, but I think they really built to that well. These 8 episodes really laid the foundation and moved her in that direction very nicely. That progression really didn't bother me. I get why she did it, even though I'm very sad.
Yeah, and I think with Lucifer, it's the kind of thing where everything just happened way too fast for him to realize how upset she was. And because
And
remember, he
he had
didn't
other
even find
stuff.
out. I'm sorry. No, I was gonna say he didn't even find out that she knew about the ring until like 3 minutes left in the episode.
Yeah, and he was being his Lucifer self, self-absorbed with Michael, with Chloe. Of course he'd be a bad friend. That's what he does. He's Lucifer.
Hmm. Yeah, and yeah, man, how is this gonna shake out? How is this gonna shake out? What
Where do we go in the
is
back
is
half?
Dad? Is Dad just gonna give Maze a soul? Is he gonna punish Michael? Is he gonna tell Lucifer to go home? Ugh, ugh. What does
I
it all
don't
mean? What
know.
does it all mean?
And when are we going to get
And
to
what?
see all that?
Yeah.
Because they're not done with the finale. So,
Yeah. You know what's funny when I have a TV tracker app that I use to keep track that I use to log all my television watching. And when I went to the Lucifer page to log these episodes this morning, briefly it had like a weekly schedule for these episodes going until like Christmas. And then the next time I went in there, it had disappeared, and I was like, "Oh man, was that a plan? Was that a plan, or was that just some stupid guesswork on the part of whoever does that app?"
ooh, interesting question. Maybe it was Michael messing with the wires.
Mm.
Mm.
Because remember we've reported they only had like 4 shooting days left. They basically everything except about 2/3 of the finales in the can, right? So
Yep, so
you
close.
just
So close to
hmm
having a whole season.
yeah, and they're gonna resume filming soon if they haven't already. You know, but all right. All right. I guess it may with scheduling and such, it may take some time to get all the band back together. But um yeah, yeah. And so what else do we have here? I'm just going down my list. Going back and forth. Um we talked about Ella being a bad guy. Ella dating a bad guy. Les Kronsky, not happy with the name of the Whisper Killer.
No, he
Is
prefers
that
the, what was it, the
funny?
voice box? No, it's not funny. It's really not funny. I laughed, but it's not
No,
funny.
no, no. I mean, well, the Shusher. Um, yeah. It's really, yeah. It's what it's like, very, very dark comedy. Um, but yeah. You have, and here's the real question: all of the humans in this show, what are they gonna think when time starts up again? And then the precinct has been destroyed. Uh, God showed
What?
up.
I'm a Midwesterner, so I don't know how this works, but earthquake? Like, was it a micro earthquake and it just happened? Like, did we miss it?
Yeah, yeah. It's almost like Doom Patrol. Whenever they'll think of something, and then you just see the news reports explaining that it was some seismic event. Oh,
I did really like that effect when Maze kicked Lucifer through that glass wall and the
mhm.
glass froze. I thought that was really cool.
Yes, yeah,
I just love
yeah.
seeing
That
that Netflix budget.
yeah. And do you think Lucifer was going to say "I love you"? Was he going to be able to say it?
I rewatched that with that question in mind. I do think he was. I think he only stopped because she was frozen. I don't quite get what his angst is over that. Honestly, what is the problem now, Lucifer? But I think he was on his way to saying it. I have to believe that. Because
Mhm.
otherwise, what are we doing?
Well, I think it's also a matter of the thing of it's something Lucifer thinks is always obvious, and because he's completely oblivious to other people's feelings, doesn't realize that she actually needs to hear him say it. And also, I think this whole experience with Michael and kind of realizes, it made him think for a second what he's giving up in saying that. That his mojo will
Mm-hmm.
probably go away and he won't be invulnerable anymore. And it basically it gives him a mortal life.
Right,
You know.
right, right. So I would love to see them explore that some more. I also this is just a stray thought for the whole season as a whole. If his ring from Lilith has her immortality, is that Chloe's ticket to being with him forever? Did they introduce that now for that reason, or is that just a prop and a
Mhm.
story device? I don't know.
Maybe, or maybe is that how Maze gets a soul? Is she gets her mother's
Ooh, ooh,
immortality?
that's interesting. Hmm.
Mm. Or maybe I'm thinking backwards. Maybe I have it backwards. I don't know. I don't
I
know.
just want to see it. I want to see it sooner rather than later. Give me those other 8 episodes.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, all right. All
Mhm.
right. Wow. What a finale. What a season. What a
It
season.
went fast, but it was good.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't believe wow, I've done all of this in 36 hours. It's
I'm so proud of you.
actually 24 hours when you count in like when we started last night. Oh, all right. All right. Um so yeah, that's the end of the episode talk. And just to let people know, um we are probably going to be doing the news separately. So this is going to be just the Lucifer season 4 special, and then all of the news, particularly what's coming out on Fandom, as we speak. We'll get together and talk about either Sunday night or Monday night, and we'll release that separately a little later in the week.
And it'll be good.
Um, yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited. And then after that, we will be switching to a monthly schedule. So our next recording will come out will represent the week ending September 19th, 2020, and our retro pick is going to be the first 2 chapters in Adventures of Captain Marvel, starring Tom Tyler and Frank Coughlin Jr. And it is the very first live action adaptation of a comic book superhero, um, starring my favorite superhero, Captain Marvel.
And I've
Um,
never seen it, so I'm really excited.
yes. It is available on Amazon Prime. I think it's also available on Hoopla and maybe Tubi, one of those like free streaming services you might find. Um, and if you're looking for a Blu-ray, Kino Lorber has an amazing restored Blu-ray, which has all fun commentaries and goodies on it, which I just sent to Sarah in the mail.
I'm so excited. It landed on my doorstep yesterday, 2 days ago. So yeah, yay! Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. So enjoy that, and we'll have all the news that happens within the next month there. So now it's time for our winners of the week.
Okay, well you sprung this on me.
So
So I'm gonna
I'll
give you.
yeah.
Oh, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'll give you a little extra time. So yeah, a lot of really great storylines. Lot of stuff with supporting characters that happen in this season. So rather than giving it to any one individual, I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna go with the title of the last episode we watched and say, um, not spoilers, but narrative pacing was my winner for the week. 'Cause I feel like the way that these episodes were laid out, we talk about the difference of network shows versus streaming shows or shortened season shows, and everything seemed to be laid out perfectly. It didn't feel like the season dragged. We got answers even faster than we thought we were. Every episode contributed to the overall narrative of the season. And even stuff like, introducing Pete, the journalist, the fact that he was only in 3 episodes and Ella didn't meet him at the very beginning of the season. I thought, I thought everything got its due and nothing felt stale.
Yeah.
So
I support
narrative
the good one.
pacing. Mhm.
Good. All right. Well, my winner, I'm going to kind of cheat and say not so much characters, but Decker Star fans, those people who've been pulling for Lucifer and Chloe to finally get together for 5 seasons. We got a very nice payoff in those episodes. I know that we're not necessarily on rocky ground at the end, or we're not on solid ground at the end of these 8 episodes, but those scenes where there's potential and they finally come together, and that morning after was so lovely and so natural, and there was so much effortless goodness. It's what I think people who ship that couple, that pairing, have been waiting for. So yeah, you know what, Decker Star fans, we won this season. It was a good win. So I hope they get it back together in the back half of the season, and then who knows what happens with season 6. We'll find out.
All right, Sarah, we did it.
We did it. Go us.
We did it. All right. I gotta edit this puppy. So
Good
yeah. So be on the lookout for the news coverage that we're gonna release later this week, and next month, when we cover all of the news, we're switching to a monthly schedule, and our retro pick is Adventures of Captain Marvel, chapters 1 and 2. That's the DCTV report for this week. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Little Eddie O'Hare.
And I'm at Sarah Netzley, SARANETZLEY.
And follow the show on Twitter at DCTV Report. Send along your emails to dctv@wickedtheory.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our show on your podcast app of choice and rate and review us. That helps more people find us. Check out our sister show, the Wicked Theory Podcast. This has been a Wicked Theory Studios production. Executive producer, Bill Sweeney. Visit us at wickedtheory.com. Shazam, everybody.
Shazam.
Shazam!